Make sure you've got those snacks put away, and let's finish up with our lesson. Welcome back, boys and girls. Today we're going to continue talking about final stable syllables. Listen to these words and listen for the sounds in the final position. Uncle, muzzle, hassle, pickle. What final stable syllables did you hear? Listen again. Uncle, muzzle, hassle, pickle. Yes, we hear coal, zol, and soul. Let's take a look at these words up on the board. Uncle, muzzle, hassle, pickle. Can you find the final stable syllables? Yes, we have C-L-E, Z-L-E, S-L-E, and K-L-E. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at our first word. How do we code our final stable syllable? We bracket it off. We're going to cross off the E because it is silent. And we're going to put an accent mark after our first syllable. Now let's go ahead and code our first syllable. Look for your vowel. We have a vowel followed by a consonant, so we're going to code it with a breve. Now let's look at our next word. How should we code this one? We're going to start by bracketing off our final stable syllable. We're going to cross off the E because it is silent and put an accent mark after our first syllable. Now let's look for our vowel. Yes, we have a vowel followed by a consonant, so we're going to code it with a breve. Let's look at our next word. We're going to bracket off our final stable syllable. We're going to cross off the E because it is silent. And we're going to put an accent mark after our first syllable. Now let's go ahead and code our first syllable. We have a vowel followed by a consonant, so we're going to code it with a breve. Remember, boys and girls, don't get tricked when you see double consonants here. Remember, those aren't really double consonants. You need to go ahead and bracket off your final stable syllable, and then you can see that they are two separate things. Okay? They're not real double consonants. Let's take a look at our last word. How do you think we should code this one? Exactly. Let's start by coding our final stable syllable. We're going to bracket it off. Then we're going to cross out our E because it is silent. We're going to put an accent mark after our first syllable. And now let's code our first syllable. We have a vowel followed by a consonant, so we're going to code it with a breve. Now, boys and girls, again, don't get tricked here. I know we might think that that's digraph CK because the C and the K were so close together at first, but it's not. So we're not going to code it like digraph CK. We're going to code our final stable syllable first, and then we're going to work from there. Let's take a closer look at the word pickle. KLE is the final stable syllable, and the C keeps the vowel short. It's kind of like the spelling rule with CK after a short vowel. K cannot be doubled in English words. The letter C-K-L-E will normally follow a short vowel, like in the words tickle, speckle, and tackle. As I said before, we would bracket off the word at final stable syllable K-L-E. Code the final stable syllable as we normally do, and then finish coding our first syllable. Now we're going to practice spelling one of our words that has a final stable syllable. Our word for today is the word kettle. Kettle. Let's go ahead and let's sound it out using our bodies. K-e-tull. Let's go ahead and let's write our word up on the board. Now, does anyone know why I use the letter K at the beginning of this word? Let's remember our rule. K comes before E, I, or Y. So since I had the sound, I knew it was going to be the letter E in the middle. So I needed to use the letter K to begin my word. Now, let's go ahead and let's code our word to make sure we spelled it correctly. We're going to bracket off our final stable syllable. We're going to cross out the E because it is silent. And we're going to put an accent mark after our first syllable. Now, let's code our first syllable. Look for the vowel. What do you notice? An open, accented vowel is long, and we code it with a macron. Now, if we were to read this word, boys and girls, we would have the word kettle. Remember, the macron is reminding us that the E is saying its name. Do we want the word kettle? No, we said we wanted to spell the word kettle. Let's sound it out again and listen and try and figure out what letter is missing. K-e-tull. K-e-tull. Yes, we need to add another T to this word. So let's go ahead and let's add a T before our accent. We need it to be part of that first syllable. Now we can change that macron to a breve because we know that letter E is going to be short. Now when we read this word, we have the word kettle. Kettle. Good job, boys and girls. Now, let's practice coding some words up on our board. I have this sentence up on my board for us to start with today. Let's start with the first word in this sentence. Wait, we know that word. It's one of our sight words, so let's circle it. It's the word don't. So now let's move on to the next word in this sentence. What do you see at the end of the word? We have final stable syllable S-L-E. So we're going to bracket it off. We're going to cross out the E because it is silent and put an accent mark after the first syllable. Now let's code our first syllable. Look for the vowel. We have a vowel followed by a consonant, so it's going to be short, so we code it with a breve. Now let's look at the last word in our sentence. Look carefully at the vowel. Is it followed by a consonant? No, it is not. An open, accented vowel is long, and we code it with a macron. Let's remember the rest of that rule. An open, accented vowel. There we go. Let's go ahead and let's read this sentence. Don't hassle me. That means not to bother someone. Let's look at our next phrase here. Look at the first word in that phrase. Do you see anything that's easy and obvious to code? Yes, the letter C. We're going to draw a K back so we remember that it goes k, k, k. Now let's finish coding the word. What else do you see towards the end of the word? We see final stable syllable C-L-E. So let's bracket it off. We're going to cross out the E because it is silent. And we're going to put an accent mark after the first syllable. Now let's code our first syllable. Look for the vowel. A vowel followed by a consonant is short, and we code it with a breve. Now let's look at the next word in this phrase. What do you see at the end? Look carefully. Yes, that's right. It's apostrophe S, and that's different from suffix S. But while we're looking at it, let's do something with it. I know that when S at the end of a word, when it comes after the letter R, it's going to make its voiced sound. So while I'm thinking about it, let me put a voice line through it so I remember that it goes z, z, z. Now let's finish coding this word. Look for your vowel. Good job. We have digraph EE. So let's go ahead and underline it. Let's cross out the second E because it is silent. And we're going to put a macron over the first one so we remember that it's making its long sound. Now let's look at our last word. Look at the end of the word. Now we have suffix S. So let's go ahead and let's draw a box around it. What else do we see towards the end of the word? Don't get tricked here. Yes, we have final stable syllable K-L-E. Now, boys and girls, you might see that I have drawn a voice line through suffix S. And that is because when suffix S comes after the l sound, it's going to make its voiced sound. So I drew that line so I wouldn't forget. Now we need to cross out our E because it is silent. And we're going to put an accent mark after our first syllable. Now let's go ahead and let's code our first syllable. Look for the vowel. We have a vowel followed by a consonant, so we're going to code it with a breve. Remember that C is going to make that vowel short, so we need to make sure that it's there. Let's go ahead and let's read this phrase. Uncle Greer's freckles. Wow. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our last phrase. Let's look at our first word in that phrase. Is there anything easy and obvious to code? Nothing standing out at me right now. So let's look for our vowels and consonants. I see a vowel, consonant, consonant, vowel pattern there. So let's draw our syllable divider line and put our accent mark after the first syllable. Now let's code our first syllable. We have a vowel followed by a consonant, so we're going to code it with a breve. Let's look at our second syllable in the word. We also have a vowel followed by a consonant, so we're going to code it with a breve. Let's look at our next word. What do you see? I see some digraphs there. We have digraph SH, and we also have digraph CK. Now, since this is digraph CK, what should I do? You're right. Let's cross out the C because it only makes one K sound. Now, let's look at our vowel. A vowel followed by a consonant is short, and we code it with a breve. And now let's look at our last word. Look at the end of the word. There is sneaky E. Remember, sneaky E is silent, and it's going to jump over and make the A long and say its name. Let's go ahead and let's read this phrase. Distant shock wave. Wow, that's another interesting phrase today. Great job today, boys and girls. Keep a lookout for those final stable syllables in your reading and your writing. Let's see how many you can find today. We'll see you later. Bye.